program. Friends, we begin tonight with breaking news. Tonight, President Trump has formally authorized the deployment of 300 Illinois National Guard troops for 60 days. The White House says the duration of the deployment will ultimately be up to Secretary of War Pete Hegseth. Illinois is suing the Trump administration over the deployment, but so far a federal judge allowed the deployment to move forward. We'll see when they actually arrive. America tonight is approaching an inflection point. Democrats won a showdown with President Trump over ICE raids in blue cities, and President Trump is more than happy to give it to them.
We have an Insurrection Act for a reason. If I had to enact it, I'd do that.
So this fight is playing out in cities nationwide, and the Supreme Court is going to end up having to make a decision on executive power. Ahead, Kat Abu-Ghazaleh defends obstructing federal law enforcement in Chicago. She's gotten thrown to the ground doing it. Bill O'Reilly on Trump's immigration policies and what it means for the Republican Party. Sheila Nazarian details a sickening trend in Europe that is headed to America. But first, our Why It Matters segment tonight. Democrats are itching for a fight with President Trump over ICE raids and the National Guard deployments in sanctuary cities. I'm not a lawyer, not going to play one on TV. But history tells us local officials fighting the feds rarely works out for them. So I'm going to predict a few things. Democrats are going to lose this, and a lot of people are going to get hurt. The president argues it's his duty to carry out immigration enforcement and improve public safety in cities that refuse to do so. He ran on this. He got elected for this. And it's happening in places like Memphis, D.C., Portland, but Chicago is now ground zero. Protesters have tried to block federal officers from conducting immigration enforcement for weeks. Now Mayor Brandon Johnson wants to block ICE altogether with the stroke of a pen.
The order establishes ICE-free zones. That means that city property and unwilling private businesses will no longer serve as staging grounds for these raids.
He is trying to ban ICE from public lands in Chicago. Good luck with that. The mayor is clearly more interested in shielding illegal immigrants than he is in fixing Chicago's crime problem. Just this weekend, 5 people were killed, 25 more were hurt in shootings across the city of Chicago. The youngest victim was 16 years old. As far as we can tell, in the mayor's 3 press conferences today, he did not bring any of those shootings up, nor did the governor of Illinois. They believe the real problem, the real threat to public safety is ICE. One of the shootings actually did involve federal agents, one of 2 car ramming incidents over the weekend. DHS says an armed woman rammed her car into their vehicle, ambushing ICE officers. There was video of this, so it did happen. One of the officers reportedly shot her while she was trying to box them in. NewsNation obtained dispatch audio showing Chicago police were told not to help the federal agents.
Homeland Security investigators said he's one of about 30 armed Border Patrol agents. ICE, they're being surrounded by a large crowd of people requesting CPD. For 999, Chief of Patrol said all units clear out from there. We're not sending anybody over to that location.
As I said, the people are going to get hurt. Chicago police deny there was an order in place. The audio is pretty clear when you listen to it. But the fact that the Chicago police have to clarify about whether they will or will not help federal agents tells us a lot. The local police chief went out of his way to send a message to the protesters in the city of stop attacking federal agents.
We cannot become a society where we just decide to take everything in our own hands and start to commit crimes against law enforcement. It is a crime. You may not like what they're doing. I can understand that there's a lot of emotions out there, but that does not mean that you get to commit a crime, especially one that could lead to deadly force.
Hard to believe that he had to say that out loud, but he is right. At least some official in Chicago has some sanity. But consider this. When you have the governor and mayor calling ICE evil thugs and Nazis, it's not hard to understand what is going to happen.
The extreme right in this country refuse to accept the results of the Civil War. They have repeatedly called for a rematch.
In the early days of the Nazi regime, they started slowly but surely taking away people's rights. And what we're seeing now is the very same thing.
Both J.B. Pritzker and Mayor Johnson could use a history lesson. They clearly do not understand it. This is where we are now in America in 2025. The political reality is this looming showdown. There's very little energy in America to soften immigration laws. So what you are seeing is coming mostly from the ultra-progressive elite parts of America like Chicago.
Thank you for watching. Subscribe below and download our NewsNation app right now on your phone, and you will get fact-based, unbiased news for all Americans.